Hi, BTS friends, how are you today? Healthy? No one ever thought that a house could be so mysterious, so intimate, and at the same time so emotional for millions of people around the world until it was owned by BTS's Jungkook. That morning in Seoul, when the sky was still leaving soft ash left over from the night's rain, a blurry photo of a commercial drone rocked cyberspace. A majestic building, standing quietly in an elite quarter on the banks of the Han River, with architecture that looks like a combination of Western modernism and a warm touch of traditional Korean houses. But it wasn't the shape that surprised netizens. It was the claim that the building was Jungkook's new home. And even more astonishingly, the house was allegedly not built for him, but to the person she hides from the cameras, her mother. Speculators exploded like embers doused with gasoline. Netizens highlighted the design of the house, a secret passage leading to the basement, unorthodox security cameras, and the presence of a small garden with peach trees, which is considered unusual. And in the midst of it all, one question tickles the entire universe of K-pop fans. What exactly is inside Jungkook's house? And why did HYBE choose silence? What makes a home not just a home? Why is HYBE, who is usually open about her artist assets for the sake of branding, now silencing all forms of media inquiries about this residence? Is there anything too personal, too emotional, or even too controversial that the public shouldn't know about? Question after question formed a thick fog, and the fans were now not only curious, but beginning to feel that the house was harboring wounds, hopes, or even the hidden truth. In a previous interview, Jungkook said one sentence that now feels like the beginning of a big puzzle. I will never be able to repay everything my mother has done, but I can create a space that only she can touch. The phrase that once sounded like a poetic metaphor of a devoted child is now reread by his fans as a real hint of the existence of a house that the whole world is now talking about. Not only soldiers are busy dissecting satellite maps, but also the Korean media. Even the American media began to glance at this issue as a symbol that the life of a global superstar remains determined by the simplest love, the love of a child to his mother. But the heat does not come without storms. Rumors began to appear that the house was not only secretly built by Jungkook, but also personally designed for emotional reasons that even Hai could not interfere with. One of the local architectural workers, whose identity was not disclosed, stated that the house began to be built 3 years ago, at a time when the world was still hit by a pandemic. When everyone was panicking and cooped up, Jungkook allegedly took care of himself, observing the house plan and choosing for himself the wood texture of the floor that should be warm at mom's feet. No decision is taken lightly. Even the lighting angle of the room is set so that it always gets the first rays of the sun, according to Jungkook's request, who wants mom to wake up with morning light, not loneliness. But then, why did HYBE choose not to announce this beloved project to the public? Why was the noble project completely covered up? This is where new storms begin to form. Some sources said that this decision was not due to family secrets alone, but to internal tensions between the agency's privacy policy and Jungkook's personal freedom as an adult. It is said that Hai is worried that if the house is made public, then Jungkook's mother's security will become too vulnerable, especially considering the status of the house, which is not guarded by official personal bodyguards, but by personal AI security. A system developed in secret. Of course, this invites unstoppable speculation. Does this house really keep technology secret? Or maybe there is a bigger role for Jungkook's family in his life now, which is not known to the public. It is strongly suspected that this house is not only a symbol of his return, but also a symbol of a new phase of Jungkook's life. A phase in which he is no longer just a global idol, but an adult man who builds a shield for a figure who always asks, "Are you okay today?" One of the most shocking news came from the Japanese media, which exclusively mentioned that this house has a special room with the sound of an artificial waterfall, where Jungkook's mother used to meditate. More emotionally, it is implied that the room can only be opened with Jungkook and his mother's fingerprints, not others. An absolute disgrace that makes fans around the world cry with joy, and at the same time feel even more curious. After all, is it just about the house? or about the side of Jungkook that is closed, about how he lives in two worlds, the world of the stage and the world in which he is the only son of a mother who once borrowed money to buy his first shoes, a world where she's been the hope of the family since she was 15, but also a place where her tears have never been seen. HYB continued to mumble. Even when asked directly in a press conference, one of Hyde's spokesmen simply said, "We respect the personal space of our artists." But for the fans, that statement is not enough. They want to know, because they feel that the love between Jungkook and his mother is a story that represents many of them. About the struggle, about the wounds of the past, about hope, rumors continue to grow. Some even mention the house named by Jungkook himself. The name was found in an architectural sketch leaked by a contract worker and instantly went viral. Netizens read its meaning as a home where the day ends quietly, where a mother can unwind after years of struggle. But there are also those who attribute the name to Jungkook's childhood trauma, of how every day he had to make sure his mother was okay before he could sleep. One of Jungkook's old friends in Busan interviewed by local media said that Jungkook used to cry when his mother worked until night, and he vowed to buy a house where his mother no longer needed to work, no longer needed to cry because of lack. Could this be his house? Speculation continues to grow wild. Some fan accounts began to theorize that the house had a secret bunker, which was used to store personal documents, childhood memorabilia, and possibly even notes about his mother's hopes for her son's future. More surprisingly, some theories suggest that this house could be a place of preparation for the future if Jungkook decides to step back from the entertainment world, a place where he can live quietly, away from the spotlight, just with his family. Is this going too far? Or too close to the truth? One thing is certain, the house is real, and the fact that the public shouldn't know too much makes them even more curious. Jungkook, who is always transparent in his smile, seems to have many facets that he never shares with the world. And this house, a physical building that holds tears, love, hope, and memories, became a symbol of that side. Whatever the truth, one thing is indisputable. This house is not just a dwelling. This is a statement. This is the legacy of a child's love for his mother. And maybe, just maybe, this is a new chapter in Jungkook's life that he writes about, not on stage, not in camera lenses, but on walls that only his loved ones can touch. As the world kept guessing, Jungkook chose silence. But silence is not without sound. She once said, "I don't need to talk much. Only a mother knows who I am." And this house, like the deepest whisper of his heart, became the answer to all questions. And if this house was indeed built for his mother, then one sentence from fans on social media feels most appropriate. In a world where everyone is cheering Jungkook on, only his mother builds palaces.